Delighted to be joined by neuroscientist and presenter of The People Watchers on BBC Two and Body Language Secrets on Sky, Dr. Jack Lewis. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Very well, thank you. And how are you?
Brilliant, thanks.
Great. Now, today we're talking about interesting findings that have come out of research looking into foods whilst enjoying movies. Now, there are certain foods that can be used to enhance the movie experience. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So Blinkbox commissioned me to pore through the scientific literature to try and find foods that people could eat in order to boost their mood. Now, they also asked me to try and pair up those moods with specific movie genres. So I found a load of really interesting data which suggests that you can make yourself more excited, make yourself feel more romantic, all based on the kind of foods you eat. And hopefully people will take my suggestions and give it a go.
Yeah, and there's some really interesting pairings that I've seen. I mean, some of them I think make quite good sense. Like romance curl up with a spicy curry. I think probably quite a lot of people do that, get a takeaway in a movie. That might seem like quite a traditional thing to do. But
that's right. I mean, obviously, some people might think, "Ugh, curry breath, that's horrible." But it's actually what's inside the curry. The coriander is key to this, as is the cream. So you should go for a curry with lots of coriander, lots of cream in it, and ideally either beef or lamb.
Oh, really?
You might ask why? Why that strange combination? Well, basically, in order to get romantic or perhaps to stoke the libido, the key neurochemical in question is testosterone, whether male or female. Now, that's a fat-based hormone, and so the cream, the dairy, provides the cholesterol. Testosterone will then be synthesized out of. And in the coriander and the, what was the other ingredient? Oh, yeah, the lamb and the beef. That's where you get your zinc and magnesium, and you need trace levels of zinc and magnesium in order to create the testosterone in the first place.
Now, one that surprised me is for if you're watching an action film, sun-dried tomatoes coated in cocoa powder. How would you come up with that combination? I don't get it.
Well, what I did was I found a long list of ingredients that are rich in copper. And in order to convert dopamine into noradrenaline being what causes the racing heart rate, the kind of tingling in your skin when you get excited, without copper, trace levels of copper that is, which is found in very high quantities in sun-dried tomato and cocoa powder, you can't make this noradrenaline in the first place. So if you're watching an action movie, the idea is you'll be reacting to the stuff that you see on screen, you'll be getting very excited, and having the copper in those two ingredients just ensures that there's plenty of noradrenaline to cause those physiological responses in your body that your brain interprets as excitement. You see what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And the other one that interests me is if you're going to be watching a horror film. And this, well, it's chicken marinated in freshly brewed coffee, which if you're watching a horror film, the last thing you want to be doing is after, especially if it's at night time, is turning off the movie, going to bed, and then you've had coffee. So you're like wide awake and scaring yourself silly because you've just watched a horror film. Surely that doesn't work.
Well, I think you'll find in restaurants all across the country, people have an after dinner coffee.
Yeah,
so
very
it's,
true. But they're not
same
watching
kind of
a horror
vibe.
film then.
It could send the mind spinning, which is exactly the point. Because if the thing about caffeine is that it's a stimulant, and anything that makes your heart beat faster is going to make the fear experience when you watch a horror movie all the more potent, if you like. And the idea of the chicken is anything which is very low in carbohydrates and very high in protein is known to kind of promote anxious behaviors. So ideally, you'd want to eat this kind of Atkins diet-esque style meal all day long. So fry up for breakfast. It's got to be high in protein and fat, low in carbohydrate. The idea being that the carbohydrates, we eat them because it makes us feel more comforted, if you like, more safer and secure. So by eliminating those carbohydrates, you keep serotonin levels, which would make you feel comforted and secure, down to nice and low levels. Then the caffeine gets your heart racing. So any scary scene that happens on screen will scare the living daylights out of you. That's the idea.
Okay, so if you really love horror films, then you'll probably love you would love to enhance it using these foods then. So yeah,
Exactly. And so, for instance, like one thing that I thought would be really interesting is if, say, a couple, they're thinking of what movie to rent. If one person loves horror and the other absolutely hates it and is a real scaredy cat and hides behind the sofa, then one could eat a nice carbohydrate-rich meal to stop them being so scared, so they can endure the horror a bit better, whilst the other one, the absolute horror buff that loves to make themselves as scared as humanly possible, can have a chicken in coffee meal.
Fantastic. Now, what about popcorn then? Does that actually do anything to enhance our movie experience?
No. Popcorn is basically a very cheap food which costs cinemas barely anything to sell, which obviously they sell for extortionate prices, and it makes you very thirsty, so you drink more. So really the purpose of popcorn, and we've all fallen for it, myself included, is to sell more drinks.
Okay. It's like taking candy away from a child. You're like tearing away this dream of, popcorn, cinema. No, it's just a way to get you to make you buy drinks, more drinks, and fund the cinema further.
I'm afraid so. But it is also quite fun.
Very true.
With all of these things, you get your official recommendation, and then you've got what you actually do in real life. So no one has to, I don't have to spoil anyone's fun. You can choose whether to follow what I say or to ignore it completely.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Jack Lewis, for joining us on the show. Now, if people want to find out any more information, where can they go? Is there a website that they can go to?
Yeah, if they go to blinkbox.com, they can find out a little bit more. And also, I'm going to post on drjack.co.uk all of my findings so that people can review them at leisure.
Fantastic. Well, Dr. Jack Lewis, thank you very much.